and you're going to see the planting progress. And of course, one guy's going to say that's a bullish number. The next guy is going to say it's a bearish number. And then they're going to argue about the forecast, just like every year, the annual.
Welcome to Hedge Heads, where hosts John Prischmann and Ryan Tungseth discuss commodity markets, hedging, and anything related to trading futures. Remember, the risk of loss in trading commodity interests can be substantial. These are opinions only and not trading advice. While no one knows where the market's going, they're not afraid to share some ideas.
Well, John, it's that time of year. People are excited to get out and plant, and that's really pretty much the only thing people are excited about right now.
Yeah, it's time to forget about the markets and plant, and happens every year in different time frames. This one seems fine. You're going to have guys say that it's slow. I think everybody's waiting for it to warm up. Around here, it's kind of divided like last year. Guys are deciding they could go right now, and some are deciding to go. I talked to a guy in Iowa today. They decided not to. They could have. Illinois is very wet. So guys are going to be rolling for sure. That's definitely happening. North Dakota, South Dakota, full blast, whatever they can do. Parts of Minnesota definitely are going. Dry. It's mainly dry enough to go. But, they'll argue about what's what. I feel like everybody's just geared up to plant nonstop nowadays. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if guys can go, generally they're deciding to go. And if they decide to wait, it doesn't take long for them to get going and get it all in either. So the days of delays seem to be behind it. I mean, delays mattering.
Yeah, but with the dollar going down, they seem like they want to buy these grains. Who knows why? I mean, we've seen this cycle over and over again where you don't have a lot of news and then they just love the grains in these little windows. So we just had that again, and it's hard to know if they're going to continue to buy it. And we've talked about this a lot. It's really like every day has a different look. You don't know if it's going to be up. You don't know if it's going to be down when you wake up. Even if it starts up, it might be down by the morning. And what are the attitudes of the funds, the momentum guys? They're going to want to buy it. And every day it's a new adventure. And that's why guys have been sitting on their hands. And so far that's been the right answer. But I have a bad feeling about this corn price relative to the other prices. Sorghum, tons of sorghum sitting around. No one wants to talk about. Wheat. It's 55 cents difference in the front in wheat. And then you have soy meal. So all your feeds are very, very cheap relative to where the corn is sitting right now. Now you're saying, I don't even make money at this price in corn. Well, it doesn't matter. The other feeds are cheaper, so they'll start making it into the feed channels. And corn's got huge headwinds here unless the forecast takes a big break. And I'm talking new crop corn, of course. Unless there's severe delays, it just looks like corn's overpriced relative to all other feeds.
It really does. And two thoughts on that. One, most guys are going to plant corn, right? So better get that hedge on or figure out what you're doing to get that price that's there today. And make sure that you're protected. Even you got to protect this price because it's not necessarily definitely going higher. Not saying it's going lower, but if you're going to choose to do corn because it is the best priced grain right now, the one that you have the best chance to make money on or at least break even on, like, let's do it.
Yeah, and it's not a great price, and that's the struggle we've been having is like, what do you do here? It's not a good enough price to hedge in, yet it's got these headwinds coming at it. But then the funds also really like it, short term at least. They could walk away from it tomorrow and hate it. And then you have the Dow going down 1,200 points. Let's factor that in.
I was just going to say, speaking of headwinds, the Dow does not look, I mean, the NASDAQ looks even worse than the Dow, to be honest. But
yeah, so the tariffs are starting to bite, and that little euphoria they had that one day is wore off, and we're headed back to the lows. And a lot of people think that there's a Japan deal coming through, and you'll get this little buoy of the market. But creeping next to those old lows here that's not a good look. Today it didn't bother cattle, but I do think it is going to start bothering cattle very soon.
I agree with you. I think It has to react at some point, I would think. At some point, fundamentals should matter. Definitely matters when you get towards expiration, but market moves matter. The outside markets, the way things move, the money flows matter for price, and you may want X dollars for whatever you're hedging, but if money moves out, it's going to move out.
Yeah, and then you look at when you have margin calls, you take your winning trades and you use that money to pay for your margin calls, which is going to be gold, which we saw a little bit of earlier. Now gold's going screaming higher again, and cattle. So those are two markets where there's lots of profits in, and they would be the most vulnerable to margin call selling. Now, you can't guarantee that's going to happen, but we just saw a little preview of that happening earlier in the middle of the panic. And we might only be in the second inning. I mean, it's really hard to tell here. So take it day by day. That's what guys are doing. We're talking to the guys on the phone. They're busy planting, and then it's just like, well, we need to wait and see. I like the corn versus wheat. There is things that we're kind of kicking the tires on and looking for these opportunities, but it seems like even when you have that winning thing, be it a corn call here recently, you have to bank those profits because it seems to just take it right away. And it's just back and forth. If you're not in rhythm with the markets, it's going to hurt you. And if you're in perfect rhythm, you might make a little bit of money.
Right.
Unless you're long gold. I mean, gold has been the winner, clear winner, and it goes up nearly every day.
But platinum doesn't move, John. What's going on?
Platinum's tied to the economy. Platinum's very tied to the stock market, and that's what makes it a trickier metal. Yes, they use gold and silver, of course, in manufacturing too, but it's the platinum that is really tied to car sales. It's like the tariffs clearly are bothering platinum, but then the next day it'll be like, well, I'm getting too cheap relative to gold, and then it takes off. So it's one of those tough markets and just throw it in the mix of the very tough markets in cattle. Like there's these buying euphoria. That was the dip to buy, the generational dip to buy there. That was like $5 or $6. And now what are we going to do that we're near the highs again? Are we going way higher like some guys predict? Or is this your second chance to hedge? We have a lot of questions this episode, and we don't have much for answers. I'm definitely talking to guys on the phone about cattle and hedging ideas for sure. I think this is your second chance personally, but you cannot rule out just a lot higher in the cash cattle market. That's the way it's been trending.
Yeah, it just goes with all the other markets right now. There is just no clarity, and there's volatility coming in. So it's not like moves that you can put something on and just sit and wait either.
Yeah, you just have no confidence that, let's say you have a bull spread on a corn. You see all this great demand, but then it's in a week where everything's sung off or they don't like corn, and it overrides that what would normally work. Like last week, corn had nothing but good news, and they bear spread it all week. Exports are beyond good. But I think I read it on Twitter that a lot of the focus is on just these exports. I think we export 16% of our corn. We've been on a torrid pace, but we're starting to stack up that cheap feed everywhere. Ethanol is a big question mark, what we're going to do going forward with that. So it's like, you can't commit to being all bowled up in the front of corn even with what's going on. And that is the one lone bright spot. But then you give up on it, and the next day it rips up 8-9 cents. Wheat, you couldn't give it away today. I'd have a hunch that it'll be a completely different personality tomorrow. That's just the way wheat's been trading.
Yeah, well, the entire market has been trading that way.
Yeah, but
wheat has been. And I think wheat's an important one that we do talk about, watching that spread. I mean, like you said, that 55 cents in the front month. I haven't looked at December. That's the spread you've been tracking. But at some point, you would think that's got to go one way, right?
Yeah, I like the December. It's got a bigger premium because there's more carry in the market. But it's that December short instead of that July short. I don't want anything to do with short the front of corn. The cash market doesn't look good. But wheat is underpriced. I'm just trying to figure out how to get involved. I think it's a market with a lot of opportunity, but I have no safe way to get involved. You look at September options, I think 620s were 22 cents. That's not cheap. I mean, that's 60 cents away. I thought some maybe bull call spread, which is buying a lower call, selling a higher call, and giving yourself a window of profit. The problem with that is, though, that works good for wheat. for a little bit, and then wheat falls out of that window. It goes up, and then it falls right back down. So it cheapens that thing up. It cheapens the option up. Doesn't open into margin calls, but it doesn't tend to stay in those windows either. So I go back and forth. How do we get involved in wheat down here without a lot of risk, especially in this market? And you just can't give it away now. But that's kind of what I like a market, when it really looks down and out. Wheat has a good seasonal this time of year. It's just you throw it in the pile of question marks. Not an easy market, but again, I think you just remain patient, and a lot more clarity is coming in the days ahead. Probably not very long, but it certainly isn't here yet.
No, I agree. I know we have markets that are just kind of boring, so I don't know if we want to go real long in this episode, John, or if you kind of, and I also know you kind of have a cold. Do you have a lot more to add today, or do you want to kind of call it as a short one?
Well, yeah, we could keep telling you we don't know what it's going to do. What I think you remain patient and you talk to your guy. Give us a call if you have questions. We'll tell you exactly what we're tracking, what we want to get involved in. But yeah, why rehash over? We don't have the answers. We pointed out that wheat's really low price relative to everything else. You could say that about soybean meal. I don't like that market as much. Japan deal may or may not be coming. We got a clicking audio problem today. Today just isn't our day here at the old podcast studio. But it's a complicated market that's changing minute by minute. The Dow would be the biggest worry. If that continues its weakness, it's going to pull a lot of this stuff down, or they could announce a Japan deal. The market might feel good for 2 or 3 days. There's just so many different directions it could go. I'm not really griping about the opportunities. I'm saying it's unpredictable, and you have to be kind of quick in the opportunities. And guys usually aren't geared for that. Like, they don't go from first gear to fifth gear back to first gear, real quick. It's that slow, like, I like this wheat position. They fall in love with it. You have profits for like 3 days, and then you want to stick with it, and boom, and it's gone. So if you don't have this in and out mindset, which is what the market is right now, it's a lot harder to make money. But there is guys that are doing that. You just really have to keep an eye on it. Watch the Dow, watch cattle, watch wheat. I really want to talk a lot more about the wheat market. I think we will maybe next episode. Possibly Theta Farmer's coming back next episode. We'll see. He's busy planting right now, and we'll see if he's a rain day. But we're going to try to get him back in there, and hopefully we have a lot more clarity coming up in the weeks ahead, which I think we will. And I do keep saying that, but you're going to get a trade deal eked out. There's going to be more clarity on where the other trade deals are headed. The market's going to be maybe less nervous than what it's been. And we'll just kind of leave it at that, and we'll see where the planting progress is, and we'll call it a day. It feels like this should be a short episode, and we'll go with that feeling. Yeah,
I wish I had a whole lot more to add to this, John, but the markets there's like you said, there's no clarity. So where do you go? It's not like we can recommend to even look at something. It's be aware though.
Yeah, and it's guys are going to start concentrating. They're going to get really busy on planting, but they're going to be looking for ideas and information too. So we'll have in the next couple weeks, like I say, with some improved clarity, we'll hopefully have a long episode. We'll make up for it, and we'll cover a lot of different stuff while guys are in planting and listing. But for right now, everyone's busy, and the markets are what they are until we get a little more information.
Yeah, and I think you maybe mentioned before, but just to clarify for future, some of the stuff we're talking about doing is we will talk about exactly what hedging is, what goes on, what makes good hedges, and not the prices, but from the banking side, from the broker side, what we're doing here and what makes a guy successful from that is something that will be a topic coming up.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode on that. What you see with guys that are more successful over the long run than some of the pitfalls people fall into. And like Ryan said, specifically what we do, how we work with customers, how you become a customer, what that entails. And, and just the process at which guys go through for their hedging programs. One guy I'll call once a year, twice a year. Another guy I'll call 3 or 4 times a day. It just depends. and we'll really break it down and kind of take the mystery out of what a hedge account is, who has them, who should have them. And I think you're going to be surprised. It's quite a diverse group of people.
Absolutely. Well, John, let's call it a Monday here. And hopefully you guys who are listening to it it's not Monday.
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up, and we'll see what this week brings.
Thanks, John.
Yep. Bye.
All right.
But let's let her rip.
Yeah. I'll let you finish texting.
Doing podcasts is what the text was.
And we got our outro.
Yes.